It looks like a lot of people have been a little bit distracted, so here we are to catch you up on the round so far. Matt Thompson, Kane Corns with you. And Kane, there is one big story, and no, it's not happening in England. It happened at the MCG. A big win for the Bombers.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Where has this been? The effort from the Bombers today was terrific. They knocked off Geelong by 34 points. This was how it was done, with their pressure in the first quarter. This is pressure like we haven't seen all year, which is probably an indictment on the club. Well, I think it is on the playing group that they can produce this on the back of one of their senior assistant coaches getting the sack during the week, the pressure that they've been under. So they've thought, well, we better click into gear. Well, it's a little bit late, guys. It's round 9 already and your season is wasted. So that's a taste of what could have been this season if they were prepared to do the hard things like we saw today with 91 tackles and the pressure that they applied on Geelong. And the Cats had no answers, as we're seeing in the vision here.
You do wonder what Mark Neal would have been thinking watching this. Of course, the assistant coach who was dismissed during the week. But you're saying that this is a negative?
Obviously positive, and well done to them for the performance. But that is what they're capable of. So where's it been? Why has it taken for an assistant coach to get the sack, for the coach to be under pressure, for them to be spoken about at length in the media, for them to make 5 changes at selection? Then that's produced that performance. Well, where's that been in the first 8 weeks of the season?
Let's take a look at some of their ball movement, because it was pretty impressive.
Yeah, at least it's been the criticism from me this year is their overuse of handball, but this is the way we know that Essendon can move the footy. So they had 100 more kicks than handballs today. We've seen during their losses throughout the year where they've had more handballs than kicks, which is just way out of whack. This is what they're capable of. They change the angles with short passes through the middle, as we're seeing here, and watch how fast they can transition the ball with a little bit of composure. They go to the open side, there's run from defence. This is modern footy, and this is what Essendon can do, especially when they play on Etihad. So that was a highlight for me today, and this is the blueprint of what they need to do for the rest of the year.
And time will tell whether or not they are able to execute and do that as their season goes on, or whether or not this is just a one-off. Now, you would expect that their coach, John Worsfold, would be over the moon. Of course, he had a fairly fiery news conference during the week, and he pretty much picked up where he left off in the press conference post-match.
Is there a sense of relief after what certainly externally, and you might disagree, but it appeared to be a trying week? No relief?
No.
Just what is the emotion then?
Focus on going forward, getting where we want to get to.
What did please you the most? Because you don't seem overly pleased.
No, I'm pretty happy. Yep, I'm wrapped.
What's your take on that? Because you've got to remember when you're a coach and you go into the press conference room, you're not just talking to the journos sitting there in front of you, you're talking to your fans.
Well, my take on it is a little bit what I said off the top. I think he would be feeling a little bit like me right now and thinking, well, where has that been? I reckon right now, in that press conference, he's feeling let down by his players with the effort that they've been unable to bring, and yet they flick a switch and they bring that, which is probably top 8, top 4 standard what they played today. And I reckon he's just having a little dig, a subtle one, at his playing group and saying, well, where's this been?
Plenty of questions from Cats fans for their coach as well. Chris Scott says he's not going to sweep the loss under the carpet, but says his defenders didn't actually do that much wrong.
For the most part, I actually thought the guys in the back half, were okay under extreme pressure. It was the overall system of defence that let us down. They 16 scores from turnovers, which is unlike us, and not many of those will be slated back to the defenders, I wouldn't have thought.
To Etihad Stadium now, and it was a big win for Collingwood in the end. It was tight early on, but a pretty impressive performance from the Pies, taking advantage of some pretty bad mistakes from the Saints.
We're going to highlight a couple of St Kilda's skill errors. Right now, they're not at AFL standard. They've been spoken about their goal kicking at length. We know that, and we're seeing an example there from memory. But this is the class of Collingwood. They now have 5 or 6 absolute class players in their side. We speak of DeGoey, Treloar, Pendlebury, Sidebottom, and Wells, who delivered that one inside 50. So they're all class. He's not bad either, Javen Stevenson, in his first year. But this is the Saints. This is how they entered their forward 50. And Collingwood had 17 scoring shots off St Kilda's turnovers today. The Saints kicked it at 63%. This is one of many examples we could have shown, but this is the Magpies just feasting on what is subpar skill level that's not at AFL standard this year for St Kilda. The Saints know it, but they just don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, that's a big call, Kane. It's going to be very interesting to see exactly what Alan Richardson has to say to his players in the review on Monday, but I dare say there is a lot to talk about. Now let's turn to your Saturday star.
Hard to go past this man, Jordan De Goey, absolutely on fire, one of the hottest players in the game right now, and I love what he's doing. He played pretty much as a genuine full forward tonight. 6 goals he kicked. He's got 15 goals in his 6 games this year, and love the attitude that he's playing with. Clearly got a point to prove after the off-field issues that he's had and some questioning his career at the level, but he's a joy to watch at the moment.
And with his contract, obviously there's been talk about the Pies opening up the chequebook for Gold Coast's Tom Lynch, but maybe they have to focus on spending their dollars closer to home.
Oh, I'd rather De Goey than Lynch right now. I'd be spending my money there. He's not going to cost you as much as Tom Lynch, but his form is arguably as good as any forward in the game, so he'd be their priority. They know it. They've been loath to rush the discussions with him, but there's going to get to a point, probably around the bye, mid-season, where they'll need to open those discussions. Otherwise, unfortunately, they could lose him.
All right, you've got a feel for this bloke, Alex Fasolo. We were all looking forward so much to his return, and then for MLC, after a quarter and a half, this happened.
Yeah, it's devastating for him, isn't it? First game this year. He's an absolute joy to watch at his best. We know he's had his issues through his body and other reasons over the last 12 months. So I was excited for him to come back into the side. We see him going down the race there. Not sure how serious it is, but the Pies will update us next week, and hopefully it's not too bad and he can get back soon.
Yeah, spotted on crutches after the game. Now, this got a lot of people thinking. Tom Phillips, and a pretty cool goal today, but it was his celebration that got people talking.
Yeah, a bit of character. We like that in the game, especially when you're winning and you're performing well. So we were questioning what it meant, but I think we found out why.
Well, let's have a look at what happened last week when he kicked a goal and found himself at the centre of attention. It was a fairly incredible goal. As he hits the deck here, he really hits his head quite hard, and in fact, it turns out was knocked out and kicking a goal at the same time. And you can see how hard his head thumped the turf there at the MCG. So in the aftermath of that, Kane, he jumped on social media and told the world exactly how he was feeling, saying that he had recovered and was thinking, how often has someone had a short power nap on the G whilst dribbling through a snag at the same time? I don't reckon that has happened before.
No, I don't think so either. And good insight into his character and good use of social media by the young man.
That might be a first. Now, in Tasmania, it was very much North Melbourne's day against the GWS Giants.
Yeah, it was, and they rarely lose here on this ground, which we'll look at in a moment. But they came with an attitude that they were going to make this hard for the Giants. They wanted to be hard to play against, and they wanted to make it hard for the Giants. Well, they did that. Giants didn't cope, especially into the win in the first quarter. This is highlights from that first quarter where Jared Waite was an absolute star. He marked everything, sent it back inside 50. The Giants did rally and went in actually in front at half-time, but just thought the Kangaroos' second half and their ability to win stoppage, they dominated in that area. Todd Goldstein's best game for a couple of years, I reckon, and then Ben Brount went to work in the third quarter, as we're seeing here, with 5 goals. He now sits on top of the Coleman. So Waite and Brown, as potent a forward combination that we have in the game right now.
A 43-point win for North over the Giants. 4 goals to Waite, 5 goals to Brown. Do either of them get into your team of the week at this point for a call?
One of them will, and you might be surprised by which one it is.
All right, we'll wait and see when Kane reveals his team on Monday. I'll tell you what, you talk about Tasmania, and they are building a real fortress in Hobart. Look at the percentages. Just behind the Hawks at the University of Tasmania Stadium and the Cats' home ground advantage in Geelong. So the Kangaroos at Blundstone Arena, 76% of the time they win. They've only lost there 3 times out of, I think, 17 matches.
Yeah, since 2012. They'll be putting their hand up for more games there, I think. The conditions are really tricky. I played there a couple of times and didn't win any of them, as you can see by that record there. But it is so cold, it is so windy, but they embrace it, the Kangaroos, and they showed that genuine Shimbona spirit that we often talk about.
Don't want to be too controversial, but I wonder if they'll ever move there. You want to leave that one alone?
Yeah, you put me on the spot there.
Now, Buddy Franklin got caught out at the SCG. It was a big win for the Swans, but this particular moment is getting a lot of attention because Joel Hamling went off, concussed. Now, I don't think he's done anything wrong.
Nah, shouldn't be getting any attention at all. He's got the footy in his hands. He's trying to fend off 3 Fremantle players there. Unfortunately, accidents happen. Hamling copped the elbow in the face, and we feel sorry for him, but Buddy Franklin has absolutely nothing to worry about with that incident.
Now, to be honest, there weren't too many talking points out of this match apart from this particular highlight which we just had to show, and that's this incredible Isaac Heaney airtime. What a mark.
He's one of the most watchable players in the game. I don't think we've seen that many high-flying marks this year, so whenever we do, we promise to highlight them on this show, and clearly that was a big highlight tonight for the Swans.
Now, from the most southern, well, we had the most southern game of the weekend down in Hobart, and now we've got the most northern game of the weekend, and that's in China. And it was a win, a good win for Port Adelaide. But what about this from Sam Powell-Pepper?
This is an interesting umpire contact clearly on the agenda. You can just see the bottom of your screen we highlighted there. Now, that is an accident. That happens. He won't have to answer anything there. This is just the following play. You can see we highlighted. He just went over to the umpire and said, "Sorry about that, mate." But the ball comes inside 50 and he bobs up. Look at this pickup and the goal, one of the goals of the year. So moments after he's hit the umpire, he's apologised and kicked a goal.
Presence of mind there.
Yeah, pretty eventful minute or so for Sam Powell-Pepper, who was very, very good in that game there tonight, and he's been exceptional for Port Adelaide in the last fortnight. 26
disposals, 2 goals as we turn our attention to the ladder, and of course the top of the table clash still to come. But Adelaide, the Swans, Port Adelaide all well positioned now. The Pies just 1 win out of the 8 now, you would suggest, on 20 points. It could come next week against the Dogs. The Saints, a win, a draw, and now 7 losses. So they're right down there towards the bottom. Of course, Carlton and Brisbane to play tomorrow as we take a look at the games on Sunday.
Yeah, we will do that, and some ripping contests once again. Carlton without the Curnow brothers, you think they'll struggle against Melbourne, who have won 10 consecutive quarters and are finding form. Hawthorn against Brisbane. Can Brisbane record their first win? Can they cause an upset like Essendon did today? I doubt it. And then the one we're all waiting for, it is West Coast taking on Richmond. West Coast have won 7 in a row, and Richmond are the best side in the comp, so what a ripper that'll be. Yeah, and I reckon a few Hawthorn fans will kind of be squinting when they're watching the game, just trying to see, is that really Luke Hodge playing in Brisbane Lions colours? Hey, one more thing before we go. This happened in China, just to kind of add to the occasion. I don't think I've ever seen this. The ball went flat. Yeah, a little bit of confusion here. Chad Wingard didn't know what he was doing. Harbrow was saying to the ump, the ball's flat, umpire checks it out and goes and gets a new one. So it has happened in the past before. I've seen it. Very, very rare that it would happen though. And I'm sure the Chinese watching along would have had no idea what was going on. And this guy got it as a souvenir. I wonder if it had anything to do with the humidity. I don't know. Certainly, I reckon the humidity had been affecting Dermot Brereton's hair. That's been a big story over the past 24 hours as well. Massive story. Kane, thank you. No, thank you. See you next week, and we'll catch you next time as well on The Round So Far.